Action. Adventure. Treasure. Danger. Thursday, September 16th, 7 p.m. Pacific. The most exciting dispute so far. Indiana Jones versus Rick O'Connell. Everything is disputed.
Welcome, adjudicators, to another episode of Disputed, where two fictional characters usually go head-to-head armed with only their advocates, and you will decide the outcome. But today is what we 80s kids like to call a very special episode. Hey nerds, I am Damon, father of two, husband of one, aka I don't have a good Damon pun. And my guest, my co-host, really, I actually should have been guess. What am I about to guess? I have no idea. This is all new. This is not scripted. This is unfounded, unfettered, and untamed. Dean, please stop me from talking.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and those beyond the binary. I am Dean. You may have heard me be a podcasting ninja everywhere. I'm also a resident of Letterkenny, Jester to the Queens of Woodcrest over at the Boondocks Podcast, and one hell of a model American. And I am excited to discuss what we're going to discuss tonight.
As am I. After last week, man, I felt okay. So we were talking after the show, and I felt bad about the way we just jumped all up and down in Indiana Jones's grill, and we didn't offer any suggestions.
I mean, he definitely got the boomer treatment. So
he did, and a lot of those things are deserved.
Oh yeah,
they're deserved. However, there's no point in griping about something if we're not going to provide solutions. So since we're professionals, professional at what? I don't know. We decided we tackle the Indiana Jones franchise and see if we can update it, if you will. I didn't want to say fix, but let's update the story for a palatable, easy for me to say to a modern audience.
Yeah. And it doesn't, I mean, I hate using the word woke. I think I've mentioned that a time or two on the Boondocks, because it's, I mean, understanding it, yes, I get it, but it's got bad connotation to it now. So I just prefer to say, he's conscientious, somebody who has compassion, those types of things that you would expect to see these days. Because, I mean, if you think about Indiana Jones from the time he was a doctor, that was 1936. So that's almost 100 years ago. So, so it's a while, and things have changed a lot. Even though some would rather it not change, I think that we have changed as a society quite a bit, and yeah, it does need to be addressed.
And it's and how accurate is it of the time period anyway? You know what I mean? I mean, it is 1936, but I mean, I mean, it's an idea, like those types of films and movies. What am I trying to say? Are a more idealized version.
Oh, sure.
So There's that too,
they were based off the that and so many a lot of the stuff that Spielberg and Lucas did back then were based off of the old serials and movies. So the stuff that they would show before actually showing the movie that they were going to see, and so that it would kind of show you like a 10-minute thing. And at the end would leave a cliffhanger, and so it was always the one hero guy with the big chest and the square jaw. So that's where a lot of that came from, which I mean completely understand. I mean if you and I were to write something, without thinking of where we are now. If you and I just at our ages were to write something, we would probably write it based on stuff from the 80s, which is why you have stuff like Stranger Things now, and a lot of the what do they call memorabilia porn. So where you're kind of fapping over the history that you have in your head. So If we were to write something now, generally speaking, we write from our own perspective. And if we're talking about the things that got us excited for movies or entertainment, whatever it happened to be, we probably write with a little bit of that perspective. So it's understandable that it was written the way that it was. But yes, now that we have different perceptions on things, more valid things that we have access to more people just by this. I mean, so we're back when that came out, the first one came out was 82. This was not a thing, not even close. So learning about things that happen with other people and how they act, and like I say, those beyond the binary. Back then, we didn't realize beyond the binary. So there's a lot of things that we realize now that we are awakened to, which is what I can say as far as woke is concerned. We are now realizing that these things exist. And we, and except for those who are fighting against it, the ones who want to maintain the past, it's something that should be done, especially if they're going to, if they were going to reboot the franchise. So I think what we're doing here kind of does, we have a different perspective on things with the things that you and I do as far as podcasting, whether it's on Demand Does and everybody that you meet and on Boondocks and, everybody that we've met over there. And now this. So I think this is probably a good place to start. And after I'm looking forward to also doing, and we'll play this at the end, what's going to come up our next episode and fixing the older franchise of that. So,
ooh boy,
because that has, even with the most recent, has not really changed greatly, except for maybe more violence. So.
We'll get
and the violence is awesome. But anyway, let's go. Let's kick off a little Indiana Jones talk here.
Okay, so where do you want to start? Do you want to start with casting, or do you want to start with plotting? Because I have a couple. I have some ideas on both, and I'm sure you do too. So we're just kind of.
Well, yeah, I can. I mean, casting is kind of it's just going to be I could think of people, but as far as I think as the hard part will be doing plot. So if we were going to start with Raiders, if that's what your intention is,
yes.
to take Raiders and update that, I think we should start there, and then we can kind of backfill how we're going to cast.
Like how we're going to cast. Okay, that works. Okay, so where do you want to start? What's the first thing to fix? I know TR had a bunch of notes.
Well, so first things first is he has a team of people with him that he can't rely on.
Right.
One who just takes off, and the other one gets there and leaves him to die, basically, who ends up dying himself. So I think what we as a society generally seek nowadays is more of a teamwork. I would see him in comparison with the Mummy having someone like Evie, so a partner. Regardless what gender they are, at least one partner he can rely on. So whether it be a young sidekick, or a student. A student might be very interesting.
Student could be interesting.
Yeah, so he could have like a grad student, somebody who he usually uses as his TA, who's always wanted to go with him, and so now Indy's bringing him along. So something like that I could see.
What if we went with Raiders? What if? And I'm just throwing stuff out. You're talking about how he doesn't rely. He relies by himself. What if we? Well, I guess there's a couple character arc ideas that we could go with this. One is him going from relying on himself to relying on a team. So we bring in the grad student or whoever,
Right.
Later in to help develop the narrative. Or what was the other one? Oh, the other one was a lot of Raiders is about not only getting it for the museum, it's also about his own personal glory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what if he starts from the same motivation in that he did in the original, and over time developed by the time at the end of the movie. He either, I don't know how we'd get around this, but he either misleads or just tells the United States that it's just a hoax or whatever, and he just leaves it there. It's from going from the colonial mindset of we're just going to take it to show off what we got. Look, we got, and loot at the beginning, which he should still be successful with and barely escape with his life. There's a reason he's barely escaped with his life, because he shouldn't be doing it in the first place. Then at the end, when they find the Ark and all that, he does the close the eyes thing, and he gets out of there. That they somehow get hide the Ark or whatever, and he's like, "Well, what did you find?" It was like it was a hoax. It was a freaking hoax. And just just leave it and allow it to allow it to stay there, or come back, or he tells him it's a hoax, and he comes back and helps the country that I forget what country they were in, helps the people that live there or who it belongs to, them to develop. I don't know. I'm just spitballing stuff at this point.
Yeah, I think, as far as the ending is concerned, he could because Belloc is dead and all those Nazis are dead, he could feasibly take it back to Tanis and rebury it where it was meant to be in the first place.
There you go. There you go.
So I think probably for a non-colonizer mindset, that Indy going back to Tanis and just dropping it back down in the hole, burying it up, go out there with, his TA. Sallah is somebody he could always trust, but Sallah was not always with him except for in Egypt. So, he can trust Sallah. So they could just come out there, him, Sallah, his TA, whoever that's going to be, and they bury it. And, maybe there's something that happens as soon as they bury it, that the entire place gets buried in sand again, kind of like how it was at the end of The Mummy, where the entire city of oh god, no, I can't remember. I know it's not Imhotep was the mummy, but I can't remember.
It's a long H word.
Yeah, Hymenoptera. That's what it was. Yeah, once you said it was H, then I figured out. So how Hymenoptera was kind of buried at the end. So maybe that if we're going that route, he goes back, buries it, and some supernatural thing happens where it gets reburied, and nobody's the wiser because all the Nazis are dead. And I'm assuming we're still in the same time period. So all the Nazis are dead. Nobody's the wiser except for Indy. And he can then go back to the people that he's worked with in the government and say, it wasn't there. They thought they dug and dug and dug and couldn't find it anywhere. And that's it. And they left. And they're not going to know, because they're Nazis, and the war is about to start here in a couple of years. So
they'll have their hands full.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I think that's good. As far as like the middle of the story, like I mean, obviously Marion, you have
That's
to
the big one.
you have to fix that part.
What?
I mean, and maybe she could be the TA, where instead of there's a love interest, Marion is his TA. There's just mutual respect, and she's she got put in his class. Her dad, because her dad's an archaeologist too, right?
Right.
So Abner has recommended her go to his class, and so because he loves Indy, and Indy teaches her, she goes, yeah. So that's something that could be feasible there, and she could, the age difference wouldn't matter at that point.
Because they're both
yeah,
adults.
right.
And she could,
And it's not a romance,
right? And she could play the she could also be the conscience that we were talking about earlier with the TA, and
Sure.
She could be the anti-colonizer mindset, for lack of a better way of putting it.
and she there's probably stuff like at the very end, let's say that she's the one who knows that they need to close their eyes and look away. So just give her a bit more agency with her brain. So I think that would be good. And while we're talking about that, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. So for everybody who hasn't seen it, go watch the Indy v. Rick O'Connell episode, and then you can go to disputedpod.com/Indy v. Rick and vote. Currently, it is all tied up. So,
oh wow,
yeah.
That is, I honestly, I'm surprised because Indy being as iconic as he is, I mean, even his silhouette, you'd be like, that's Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And,
I mean, and he's got his own song. I mean, Indy's got his own song. He's got that silhouette, the dashing, that swashbuckling character that you would expect from that time period. So yeah, that's completely understandable. Rick though he's kind of the same ilk, but he's not got the knowledge. I mean, because Rick needs Evie. And Evie needs Rick.
Right.
Whereas Indy, he may not be quite as coordinated as Rick as far as battle is concerned, but he where Rick uses his brawn, Indy can if Indy can't use his brawn, he uses his brains.
And Indy's always caught on the back foot.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's always caught on the back foot for sure. What was I going to say? Let me think. Talk about Indy. Wow, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was.
And whoever's watching us right now, if you have comments, questions, thoughts about how you would change some things with the Indiana Jones franchise, I'd love to hear it. And we'll put your comments up on the screen and we will address them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, so Raiders is not too difficult to update now. Now that we've kind of got that, I mean, Brody can be Brody, whatever. I mean, Brody is just kind of there. He's kind of there to lend some older gravitas to the story. But yeah, I mean, so you've got Belloc, you've got Tote, who's the main villain Nazi guy in the black coat.
That's the glasses guy.
Yeah.
Burned his hand,
yeah, exactly. And then, you've got Marion, you've got Indy and Brody, and Sala. So I don't think there's a lot you have to change in that aspect. I mean, just that instead of Marion being a romantic interest, that she would be a student, a TA, that sidekick. It's her first time, and that could build. I mean, if they wanted to build that into something, like she's graduated later and now she's going to get her PhD. Maybe at that point, once they're on more equal footing, then that might be better. But at this point, it should just be a mutual respect thing, in my opinion.
And it depends on how the, of course, the other two movies would shake out, which we're not going to discuss, I don't think, with with Marion, she might, with the whole 10 years of the movies, she may be the person to take over the franchise. You know what I mean?
Well, and
That's
actually, one of the things that I had heard about the new one that's coming out is that Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I don't know if you know who that is, British actress. She created Fleabag, which is on Amazon, is amazing. She's a good comedy writer, but she's also very clever. And I think what I was hearing regarding the new one is that she may be somebody who is like a student of his that will become the one to take over the mantle. I don't know if that's the case or not, but it's an interesting thought process. So even so, whether it's Marion or whatever character Phoebe Waller-Bridge is playing, if that's going to happen, I think I'm on board with that. So I think that would be kind of interesting to watch. So yeah, I guess, I mean, we could talk about the other film. So the next one would be you're looking at
Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom, yeah. So and this one
problematic.
Well, yes, but in some cases, no, because there's less of the colonizer attitude about the stones. He's taking them back to the village. That's his goal, is to take them back to the village where they belong. So that's one part of it that they did right. So yeah, and he's going there to try to solve issues by getting those stones back to the village. So right. I can go with that one. Now he smacks Short Round a number of times. He kidnaps gosh, what's her name? Willie. Yeah. He takes Willie hostage, and ends up throwing her on. Well, he saves her from the big gunfight as she's trying to sing, and then they ends up he basically kidnaps her almost out of necessity. But it's still it still does not give takes some of her agency away from her when you look at it that way. Yeah. So like she didn't have to say, no, I'm staying here, I don't need your help, and so those types of things. So yeah, Short Round issues there. Now Short Round was supposed to be trying to be a sidekick, which he's a funny sidekick, but he really doesn't have any use aside from he can't drive.
Yeah, he wasn't very capable.
No. So yeah, there's plenty of things that they could do giving Indy a sidekick that he trusts. But it also makes him vulnerable, kind of like Rick does with Rick and Evie. Because when something happens to Evie, Rick just throws himself in there. So, in a similar instance, when you look at Indy, if he had somebody that he trusted, and maybe some of that is part of his story, is that he doesn't take anyone else with him because he doesn't want to put them in danger. I don't know if that's the case or not, but interesting thought.
Again, that could be a through line through at least one of the movies. If we use Short Round, and then because Temple of Doom is a prequel, so if we use Short Round as the prototype, he's like, I cannot do this again. I have to have somebody. Yes, this is way too much Batman and Robin for me, and I got to find somebody a little more capable. That could be a part of his growth, where he's like, okay, well, I try to trust people, and look what happens. It's like, hey man, you trusting a 12-year-old? What do you want? Never bring a teenager to your crime party or something. I don't know, but
never bring a teenager to your strip club. No, wait.
18.
Oh, well, 18. Yeah, sure. But yeah, I don't. I think going back and looking at the sidekick, he definitely needs someone he can trust and rely on. I really think that's what it is.
And I think it's also, and I do like it adds extra vulnerability, and somebody extra vulnerability to push the story along and put the screws to him a little bit. So that helps too.
Yeah, somebody who can give him the grief that he needs. You know, if you got a good friend will tell you when you're fucking up. So I think Indy definitely needs that instead of, you know, just someone who he sees as someone harping on him as he sees Marion. So I think, I mean, obviously he does care for Marion. We don't know the entire backstory about what happened with her and Abner and things like that. How long did that last? Was she only 15 the entire time? Or, was it just he spent the 1 year with her? Or, was it something that where, they met when she was 15 and then they started dating when she was 18? Who knows? I don't know. But, and I say, if I look back at myself at 18, she said, I was a child. I would say I was a child at 18 as well. So, we don't know exactly everything that happened, but we do know how they wrote this. So like I said earlier, I would definitely go about changing, that dynamic, whether it's, either if they're going to make Marion a romantic interest, she has to be older. That's that. Yeah. Or Indy has to be younger. either way. So yeah, that's my take on it. So
it wouldn't even take anything to make her older, make her a handful of years younger, it's just.
Yeah, it could have been 5 years ago instead of 10. So
right.
Well, and that's at the time, for the time period, getting married at 20 was actually very normal. So
yeah, the life expectancy was also 40. So there you go.
Yeah, Indy's only got about 10 years left.
Yeah, Indy's about to go. Man, he's on his last leg. Actually, it was probably about 65, but still. I mean, Indy was on his Indy out there. He can't be being an archaeologist with a walker. How's that gonna work?
Well, that's what he said, and Raiders, it's not the age, it's the mileage. So he's got some miles on him.
That's for sure. That is for sure.
So, should we talk about casting?
Yes, let's do that. I'm curious to see what you think.
Oh man, as far as recasting Indy for actors today, that's really difficult. I mean, who has that understated? Because if you look at Harrison Ford, he's always very, very quiet, and he's I mean, just him as a person is very understated. He's low key. You don't know much about him. And same thing, and Indy's not much different. He's very studious. So you need someone who is number one going to have a brain, and number two has some physicality to him. So who that would be right now? I mean. And I hate to pick any of the Marvel actors or anything like that. Had it been probably 10, 15 years ago, I would have said Hugh Jackman would be good. He's kind of got a very similar style to him as Harrison Ford. So very low key, understated, but he does a lot of. You can sense his presence, so,
right.
If you're looking for an American, oh boy, trying to think, you've got almost everybody is in the fucking Marvel franchise. So, let's see, I could see potentially, the guy who plays Bruce Banner,
Mark Ruffalo.
Yes, I could see him. Smart.
Oh,
he's got the right build for it. And he as an actor is also very understanding, very compassionate. So casting someone like Ruffalo, I could see. I don't know if he's. How old is Mark Ruffalo now?
That's a good question.
Because right, I spelled it
He's
wrong.
53. He's going to be way too 50. Old.
Oh yeah. Shoot. Well, so let's see. Well, let's go back. So if we go back to Raiders,
before we go too far
Sure,
into
sure.
it,
Go ahead.
I'm gonna throw some suggestions at you that
Sure.
are going to be way out of left field.
Okay.
The first one, this is going to catch me a lot of hell, I think. And he actually might be too old because Indy is 37 and Harrison Ford is actually 37 in the first movie, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. Right?
Let's see.
Indy's supposed to be 37. I don't know if Harrison Ford's that
Indy.
old.
Well, so Marion was 25, so he should have been 35 because it was 10 years difference from my understanding.
Okay, so we'll say him at 30. We'll say at 35. Okay.
Okay.
The thing about Indiana Jones is Harrison Ford was
He was
Han Solo.
Yeah, but he also he was 39 when he filmed yeah.
For Raiders.
Yep, he was because he was born in 42. So yeah, at 80 in 1981, yeah, that would have been 39.
Wow, that's crazy.
I mean, he would have been 38 when he filmed it, and then came out when he was 39.
Okay, so that's interesting. Okay, so he was Han Solo. Harrison Ford was Han Solo at this point. You know what I mean?
Yep.
People are gonna somebody who are gonna bitch about a couple things that a couple picks I've made are gonna Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is a character, but Harrison Ford has personified it. So if we give anyway, so round and round I go. So Harrison Ford was he was a known actor, but he wasn't super well known.
No,
right? He wasn't
not very much at all. He went from being a carpenter to being Han Solo. And I think he had a bit part in American Graffiti.
Yeah. And then so Indiana Jones so he became box office after Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of an actor that people have seen and actors that people have seen and know or like know their faces or whatever, but they haven't been like box office.
Okay.
One of them is going to be an untraditional pick, and I heard it somewhere else. I'm like, that actually makes sense because we all know his name, but acting wise, I don't remember him carrying a movie. It's been a while. If he hasn't, if he has, but I think he could play. I don't know if he could do the physicality, but he could be understated as well if done right. Now that he's in his 40s, and that's Justin Timberlake. He was not my first pick, but that was one I threw out. I heard, I was like, he could make it. He could make that work. Then there was another one that Jonathan Majors would be really good. It was part of it was because he'd been attached to some other things in the past, and I don't know if he could do the physicality. I'm pretty sure he could do the acting part, and he's a handsome enough guy. He's not classically handsome, but he's not a hideous little troll creature either. And that's oh gosh, I always get him confused. Childish Gambino.
Donald
Glover?
Yes, Donald Glover, which is funny because he's who I have picked for my recasting of Smokey and the Bandit as playing the Bandit.
Interesting.
and then instead of, Jerry Reed was Snowball, the truck driver.
Yeah.
Janelle Monáe.
I do remember. Either you've talked about it on Boondocks or
I've talked about this a number of times on different podcasts because that's the big one that I would love to remake. Yeah, he's too old. He's too old as well. I was just thinking of Timothy Oliphant because he was another one that I was thinking of originally, probably like 15 years ago for Smokey and the Bandit because he was
right.
So
yeah,
but yeah, Timothy Oliphant. He's right now because I think he's 50 or late 40s. So I don't know if that would work for him. One person that I'm thinking of that. He is not well known unless you watch any of the CW superhero shows. He plays Green Arrow, Stephen Amell.
Yes.
He's got the physicality.
Yeah.
He's smart. He's a really, really good person in real life. So I could see that as well.
Stephen Amell would be a good one. Yeah, I don't know how I skipped that because I loved Arrow for the first handful of seasons.
Trying to think of who else. Oh God, Scott Eastwood would. He has the right build and everything. He's not that great of an actor. I think he basically rides his dad's coattails on and being able to get acting jobs because Clint really never had any acting chops. He just had the glare. But yeah, Stephen Amell is he's probably the top one that I can think of.
Yeah, Stephen Amell actually sounds like the best pick that we've made that we've come up with so far because he's known enough, but not like blown up worldwide Marvel. Like he hasn't had like that breakout role. He would be that's a really good one.
See, another one. Now this guy, he's a big dude and he is starting to get known as an actor, but it's because his dad is Kurt Russell, Wyatt Russell.
Yeah, that would be
He's got the physicality. He's still fairly green. I mean, the last thing I saw him in, he was playing a hockey player. So you don't have to have a huge amount of range to play a hockey player. I think he was in the second Goon movie.
Oh wow!
Which
he was in Falcon Winter Soldier. He was
really
Wyatt Russell.
I haven't watched that. So that's the
he was really. Let's put it this way: like when you said it at first, I'm like, yeah, I could see it, but he has got a punchable in this show. He has a.
Oh, you know what? I did see. Yeah, because he tries to take over the Captain America mantle. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
he was like that kid. Whoever played Joffrey on Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
Like if I saw him in real life, it would take me about half a second not to want to smack him up.
Okay, here's
they're that good at their job, not because I want to assault somebody, but they're so good at their job. You're just like, oh, that's right, you are very good at your job. I better go because I'm being a mark right now.
All right, here's one, I want to see your reaction to this. Aldous Hodge.
Now you're gonna make me look. I don't know who that is.
He's on Leverage. He was on Supernatural. Let's see if he can.
I know exactly. That's Hardison. He would be fantastic. Hardison, right?
It would be. I mean, you could. She's having a black man as a doctor in 1930s going against the Nazis. I mean. Even more satisfying beating the Nazis. So,
no kidding. He'd be the Jesse Owens of archaeology.
Yeah, or the guy could be even the guy from Lovecraft Country. I can't remember his name.
It's right in front of me. Jonathan Majors.
Yeah,
he was another one I had thought of.
Also excellent. Yeah,
and here's a. I'm gonna throw some trivia out here. Because there's probably gonna be somebody's like, "There's no way a black guy could be a doctor." Blah 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 blah. The first private HBCU was founded in 1865. It's called Wilberforce University, and two of my friends have gone there. And it would be cool if we were going to cast somebody like Jonathan Majors, or who did we just say?
Aldous Hodge.
Yeah, Aldous Hodge. He's Hardison. He'll be Hardison for me forever, unless he blows it out of the water as Hawkman. And having them teach at Wilberforce in their archaeology department, and you still don't have to change a whole lot. It's just another, like you could actually add a little bit more history to it. I was thinking about that earlier when I was thinking about Donald Glover and some other. I did have Danny Glover's the older one, right?
Danny Glover is from Lethal Weapon. Yeah, I'm too old for this shit.
Danny Glover's too old for this shit. Donald Glover is Childish Gambino. Got it. Okay. But yeah, it'd be kind of cool to if you're going to do something like that and make Indiana have Indiana be a black person, it'd be easy to even have them at HBCU. That'd be dope as hell.
Hell yeah. Let's see who else. I'm just scrolling through.
Stephen Amell was a really cool one too. Him and Jonathan Majors, man. It's like
even Steven's younger brother might be good.
Robbie.
Yeah. I saw him.
That's his cousin. That's his cousin. Or
Oh, it's his
nephew or
cousin.
something,
I thought it was his brother.
It might be his nephew. You know what? How are they related? I don't think they're brothers.
Because they look a lot. They were even in a movie together, where they both had like superpowers.
What?
Or Robbie had superpowers, and Steven was like a robber of some sort. But yeah, Robbie Amell, and they're Canadian, so that'll piss a lot of people off. So good.
That's hilarious.
So is he relative? Oh yeah, cousin Stephen Amell. Oh, okay, they look a lot alike.
Yeah, they do.
So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they were brothers. I mean, obviously, I thought they were. And but Robbie's also fit. He's really fit. Good looking guy. 33 years old.
Okay.
So he would.
Steven's older than that, right?
Steven is where is he? He's 40. Right now he's 40.
He's right. Yeah, he doesn't look like he's 40 either.
No, he works out like a fucking madman, and he runs a winery. So out in Eastern Washington. So
interesting.
It's called Knocking Point. So because Knocking Point, you knock the arrow. So yeah, Knocking Point Winery.
Cute.
Yeah. So shout out to Stephen Amell for his awesome winery.
And his upcoming role as Indiana Jones.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, before we this has nothing to do with anything. It's just a quick rant. Harrison Ford is supposed to play Indiana Jones in the next movie, right?
Yes,
movie 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
How can Harrison Ford play Indiana Jones and Richard Roundtree can't be Shaft? Have you seen Richard Roundtree recently?
He was in the last Shaft movie, but as old Shaft, as father to Shaft.
Yes, I want old father Shaft to have Samuel Jackson Shaft and the other little boy Shaft.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
and him like leading the investigation and doing whatever because he still looks good. Like if Harrison Ford can do it. Yeah. If Harrison Ford could do it, Richard Roundtree can do it. I'm not hating on either one. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, Richard Roundtree definitely over Harrison Ford. I mean, his black did not crack at all. He still looks damn good. I mean, but so does Sam Jackson. So and and he's not a young man. So
no, he's in. Oh boy, is he 70 yet?
He's definitely in his 60s. I don't know if he is 70 yet, but so Samuel Jackson he was born in 48, so that makes him 72.
72, yeah. Wow, that's crazy. But
Samuel Leroy. Of course, it's Leroy. That's what the L stands for, is Leroy. Just
really, just.
I'm sure that's why he goes by L, because he got tired of things like that. Of course, it's Leroy.
And there are probably a bunch of other Sam Jacksons as well.
I'm sure, yeah.
So that's it's a pretty common name for a guy, and he's stuck with a middle name like Leroy. Wow. I can't complain. My first name is Damon.
I was like when Chappelle did Samuel Jackson Ale. It's good, motherfucker.
I was like, I'll have a Sam Jackson. I'll have a Sam Adams. You know what? I'll have a Sam Jackson. I'll have a Sam Jackson.
And Bill Burr.
Choice, motherfuckers.
Bill Burr was in that episode.
He was. He sure was.
Oh man. Speaking of Bill Burr, I like he does some good stuff. I like him. He's I know he's kind of had some problematic stuff in his past. But I think he's grown out of a lot of that. And so yeah. He was just we were watching Reservation Dogs, and he was a driver's ed teacher in that.
Oh my.
Former coach from the high school, basketball coach. But yeah, it's fun because it was funny to see him. So
that was Bill Burr. That's hilarious to me.
Yeah. So yeah, Bill. Yeah, I mean, because and he was in Breaking Bad.
He was in The Mandalorian recently.
I heard about it. I don't have Disney Plus. I hate Disney, so I refuse. Even if it was I mean, actually, somebody has allowed us to use theirs, and I will not. Tiara will, but as far as I'm willing to go right now, because I got it for free from my phone company, is Apple TV Plus, and I'm watching Ted Lasso, which I highly recommend.
I have heard a lot about that.
Ted Lasso is really good. By the way, showing his acting chops and with the Emmy that he just won, Jason Sudeikis might not be a bad idea. I mean, he's fit enough. Just as fit as as Harrison Ford was. So Jason Sudeikis he's 46 now.
Really?
Yeah.
Because if we're looking at a franchise of movies, it still might be Stephen Amell or Jonathan Majors. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Or Aldous
Hodge.
Aldous Hodge. I was like Aldo.
Hodge. Aldo. It's his Italian twin.
It's a spicy meatball. The Aldo Hodges. I'm
boppity boopy. Yeah. Every time I hear an Italian accent, I think of that one episode of Family Guy that I watched where he says you can
only watch one episode.
Pretty much. I mean, I've seen pieces of episodes, but I remember he's at an Italian meat counter, and because the guy behind the counter is Italian, he just speaks to him as boppity boopy, boopity boopy, and that's it. Like they completely understand each other. And he's got a big fat Italian mustache, and so every time I hear an Italian accent, or I see Peter Griffin on the screen, I think of that. It just pops in my head.
Boppity boopity.
Boppity boopy. Boopity boppy.
Wow. Any other? Let's see. We've got a few actors. We've got some plot changes. We've even gone through 2 movies.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about, the bad guys, who's going to play Belloc, who's going to play Sala, it's funny now that he is older. The guy who played Ardith Bey, who I can't remember his name now, he's actually a Israeli, Ardith Bey. From in the Mummy franchise, played by where is he? Come on now, Ardith Bey, Oded Fair. I could see him because he is. I think he's in his 40s. He's 50 now, so I could see him playing, Sala.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, in the Mummy, he was long, dark hair and good looking. I mean, granted, that's 20 some odd years ago now.
It's been that long.
Yeah. So yeah, I could see him.
It would be good.
Oh, who I love. I don't know how he would be for the role. But I could see it. Mandy Patinkin.
That sounds familiar. I'm not 100% sure.
You would know him. Did you ever watch Criminal Minds?
Mandy, how do you spell that?
Mandy, Mandy, Patinkin, Patink. You would also know him from The Princess Bride as Inigo Montoya.
Yes. Gosh, that's Inigo Montoya. It sure is.
Yep.
Wow. I've seen. My wife loves Criminal Minds. Is that what you just said? Yeah, she loves that. So yeah, he'd be really good. I'm looking at a picture of him now. Yeah, he'd be really good too. Another good one who can fit into any role, any size, shape, would be Gary Oldman. I was about to say that, and I thought I was about to say that real flippantly too.
Oh no, Gary Oldman! Gary Oldman does everything well. Fucking fantastic actor. I will see anything There's 2 people that I will see anything that they've ever done: Gary Oldman and Sam Rockwell. I will go see anything that they're So I think they're both amazing actors and everything that they do. I mean, and none of them are the same.
Right, that's true.
And so, I mean, Gary Oldman playing Sid Vicious, and starting off playing Sid Vicious, and now recently playing oh God, it was the Prime Minister of England during World War II, Winston Churchill. Yeah. So he played Churchill. He played Commissioner Gordon. He played, so he's, oh God, and the character that he played in, he played Drexel in True Romance. White boy with dreadlocks.
Yes.
And Sam Jackson was in that too for all of 2 minutes.
Wow. I completely forgot. I remember him being in Jackie Brown, but
damn. Yeah, he was in because they were making a drug deal, and he was on the other side of the drug deal and ended up getting shot. He's talking about eating pussy.
That movie. Wow.
It's one of my favorite movies. It was written by Quentin Tarantino, even though it wasn't a Tarantino movie.
I think that was the first movie that that was the first movie I had seen that he was involved in after I had seen Reservoir Dogs. Is True Romance. I was like, it was Christian Slater and
Patricia Arquette, Patricia Arquette, and then it had Christopher Walken. It had Dennis Hopper. It had I can't remember his name. Michael Rappaport. Brad Pitt was in it as a stoner.
Yes, I remember Brad Pitt being a stoner.
I mean, James Gandolfini.
Jeez, man, we had a lot of people in it.
Yeah,
you want to be in this movie? You're gonna be famous.
And the guy who played Balky, I can't remember his name right now.
It just jumped out of my head.
Bronson Pinchot.
Right, thank you. I just sat here and looked at you dumbfounded for the next hour.
But I could. Yeah, there's lots of. Yeah, there was lots of guys in that movie, and I'm sure there's some that I'm missing.
Probably.
But yeah, good movie. Lots of great actors in it.
Yes.
I mean, even Christopher Walken in his little bit part of going in to kill Christian Slater's dad because he's the mobster. And so, yeah, I mean, just it was very similar to the character he played with the watch up his ass in Pulp Fiction. So.
Oh yes, jeez, it's weird. Like I completely forgot Christopher Walken was in that until you said till you talked about the watch. I'm like, oh yeah, he was in that. It's kind of like I forget sometimes that Bruce Willis was in that daggone movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Ving Rhames.
I remember John Travolta and Samuel Jackson, and it's like all these people, and it's like. Yeah.
Okay, everybody wants to work with Tarantino because, one thing about Tarantino, he writes a lot of great dialogue. I mean, that's a lot of what his movies are, is talking. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're good at that.
But, yeah, I think that was I think it was, let's see, Jules, because Sam Jackson was in Tarantino. Harvey Keitel as Mr. Wolf.
Pulp Fiction.
Yep. So yeah.
Anybody else in
that? The gal, she used to, I don't know if you remember in Brain. Come on, Brain. Saturday Night Live. She remember the character Pat, who people would played by Julia Sweeney, played Harvey Keitel, Mr. Wolf's niece in that.
Wow.
The guy, the guy behind the bar. And oh my God. I can't remember who he is, but Tarantino just gets so many actors. Who would direct? So the question is, would you still have Spielberg direct it? Or would you go with somebody like a Tarantino or somebody else? Who would you have direct the new indie?
Boy. Oh man. That's a good question. That's the one thing. That's the one question I didn't give any thought to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, because who's doing? I mean, a lot of the good action movies anyway that are coming out nowadays are those guys that directing the John Wick movies, who also were involved with Atomic Blonde. So if you're looking for action, that's one way to go.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Because indie feels like, boy, it is perpetual. It is a forward-moving plots, and there is lots of action, but there's not. I haven't seen. Boy.
Let's see who's directing. Let me see who's directing the new one that's coming out. James Mangold. Mads Mikkelsen's going to be in the new one. I love him. He could also be a really good bad guy. Mads Mikkelsen can play either side. So he could be like he could easily play one of the Nazis. So the guy who's directing Indy 5 was a producer of Logan, director of Walk the Line, director of a movie called Heavy. What else did he do? So he's directed 17 things. Crenshaw, Juliet, Ford v Ferrari. Logan, The Wolverine, 310 to Yuma. So yeah. I mean, honestly, not a bad choice for a director. I mean, for the things that he's done. He's written some things too. He actually wrote the screenplay for the new indie movie. He also wrote Logan. He wrote Walk the Line. Kate and Leopold, Girl Interrupted. So he's been writing for a while. So yeah, not bad. Not a bad choice. I could go with that. It does. I mean, sticking if you want to stick with him. So, but yeah, because Spielberg. I love Spielberg. I mean, it's just we're always going to have a place in our hearts for the Spielbergs.
Absolutely.
And if it was Spielberg, I think Spielberg has honestly changed enough. I mean, what was that? That 8mm? Is that what it was? What was that? It was all the kids that were in the movie, and there was like aliens that were on the train that busted out, but these kids were filming their own little movie, and they happened to get these aliens on tape. I can't remember the name of the movie, but anyway,
yeah.
So I could see, him. I could see him doing that. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who actually is going to be in it, also a great accomplished screenwriter, as well as a director. I could see that. Ooh, somebody who's blown up and has become a director and very powerful, Regina King.
That's interesting.
And she's worked in action. I mean, with Watchmen, which she was amazing in.
Yeah, she was,
and she's brilliant. So
this is true too.
That once I heard, because I'm just thinking of who are newer directors, and she's definitely one of the newer ones that have come up recently.
I'd give her, see what her treatment would be, but I'd give her a shot. Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. Because things we were talking about earlier with what was wrong with the original, is the other thing that was missing is there's a lack of different voices.
Sure.
In those rooms,
representation,
representation is representation is important. For people who have been represented, they don't understand. So
very true.
But and so you can see, the characters can be more real is not the right
depth. More depth.
More depth. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Not just one dimensional.
Right.
Because we were talking about Indiana Jones, who was as well as Rick O'Connell were both kind of based off of Doc Savage, who was also a very one-dimensional comic book character from back in the day, which there's nothing wrong with. But as we said, Indiana Jones was a a product of his time. I don't think this time now is not that time. So it definitely needs some updating. When you move into a house and you need to get that kitchen updated because that looks like those cabinets are from the 70s. So, you know, you just want to update those things.
Yes.
There was nothing wrong with them at the time that they were, but it ain't that ain't this time. So,
It has not aged well.
not at all.
Some things do not age well. Not everything is cheese and wine.
Not everything. Nope, not at all. So yeah, I think we could, those would be some good things to change if we were going to change them. And I'm hoping, I really truly do hope that that they're going to make Phoebe Waller-Bridge as the next Indy. I don't know if she would wants to do that. I think she's an amazing actress. She is whether it's comedy or some very serious stuff, she's good at it. So if you haven't seen Fleabag, which she wrote as a one act play, I think, and did it, and it got all kinds of awards, and then they wanted her to do a treatment for a series, and it was only, and what she had written for the stage only fit for one season, but it was so huge they had to do another season, so she had to write a whole new thing. So that's how good it was. So yeah, great actress, great writer, great mind, brilliant.
Duly noted. Anything else?
Well, as far as Indy, I think we've covered Indy. I think we're good. Now, as far as what's coming next, this will be a week from today.
Yes.
I put this is out on our social media already, but for anybody who's watching, I'm going to play what's coming up next on Undisputed.
Bond. James Bond.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. As you know, Don, my co-host over on Podskier, does not care for the Tom Cruise at all. But I'm going through and creating that clip and look. I used clips from Ghost Protocol as well as from the first one because that first one was that was iconic. First time that had been brought to the screen since it was a TV show. So you have to include that. And of course
that part where he's dangling.
Yeah, exactly. Did you like how I mixed that in with the guy being ejected and he comes down and then it's Ethan Hunt? So yeah, that's I've enjoyed making those videos. They're fun to do. They're time consuming, but they're fun to make. Right. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to have Nikki Horick and Squirrely Matt from the Produce Stand podcast. Nikki is from the Crispy Pickles podcast. And she's been a friend from I don't know if you follow Ignorance Was Bliss podcast. Kate has been doing that one for some time now. She's over 300 episodes. Wow. And Kate is brilliant. She stays at home now, but she was a forensic psychologist. Almost went to work for the FBI, except she didn't want to carry a gun. So that was out. But yeah, so I've met a lot of cool podcasting people through Kate because she is brilliant and she causes other people around her. She brings in other brilliant people around her. So I am definitely looking forward to this. So yeah, that'll be a next so basically 2 weeks from today, if we'll have to talk about how we would fix James Bond. I mean, yeah, that's also product of his time.
Also, Bond, actually, that's very timely because No Time to Die comes out this weekend.
Yeah.
So
looking forward to that. I loved, I love Daniel Craig's Bond. Granted, Sean Connery is the penultimate, but with the reboot of it with Craig, I've really enjoyed it.
It'll be interesting to see where they go from here with because they seem to. I did an interview with Cam Smith from Spy Hearts, and they do reviews of spy movies. Mm-hmm. So needless to say, he knows his James Bond, and and he had mentioned how it might have been on his show when I was researching how every decade or so they reboot. Mm-hmm. Like they, because like we talked about Sean Connery, then Roger Moore was
it was Sean Connery, then it was George Lazenby for a single movie.
Right, which is the reason I didn't count him, because he didn't get because I don't think he got a proper. One movie doesn't give somebody a full. He didn't have a full run. Is all I mean.
Yeah,
by that.
Yeah.
And they went from those two to Roger Moore, which was his Bond was way more over the top, and then they came back a bit with Timothy Dalton, and then they went way over the top with
Pierce
Brosnan, and now they come back with Daniel Craig. So it'll be interesting to see how things progress. Well, I don't want to say progress, but get bigger, or those types of things.
Yeah, I mean, I've hoped for quite a while, and now he's too old. I was hoping for Idris Elba because I thought he would be amazing.
Like, don't crack, son. All you gotta do is dye that goatee.
Yeah, but that's that part of the reason Craig is it's the physicality of the work. So I think that's part of the reason Craig is retiring. So I think they're both like right at the same age, Craig and Idris. So, but I've loved Idris Elba since I first saw him in The Wire, and he was amazing at that. And I honestly had no idea that he was not American, because that was the first thing I ever saw him in. And I just thought he was great. But yeah, and then when I found out that he was British, I'm like, oh, interesting. So yeah, I don't know who. Yeah. So, oh God, we could do so many fan casts. So and we'll probably talk about that in 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. So, yeah, got anything else?
I don't. Actually, I had another actor pop in my head for Indiana Jones. I really didn't want to go down that rabbit hole again.
Oh, who is it?
We were talking about black actors.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about possible black actors, and somebody who would definitely be box office. The reason I didn't mention because I think he would be box office, and that is Michael B. Jordan.
Mm. He's so pretty.
Actor,
he's so pretty.
That was the other thing. He's like super handsome. Like can you everyman Michael B. Jordan?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, he great as Killmonger, great as Creed. So yeah, not that he can't do it, but he is really attractive. And not
ugly enough.
He's not the conventionally rugged, handsome type of guy that when you're looking at, Harrison Ford back in the day, or Stephen Amell now, they're both. Anyway. I mean, they're both good-looking men, but they are not the look how pretty he is. So it's not like that. Not that couldn't happen, but I mean, man, we could go on about we could even gender swap Indy, because I could definitely see Charlize Theron playing the role, because she's badass and brilliant, but she is also very pretty. But
she's a monster though.
Oh,
an Academy Award.
She did. She is. I'm looking for Old Guard. If you haven't seen Old Guard, go watch it. It's awesome. And I think they're working on a second one. It's based off a comic. She plays an immortal. It's very. I think it's on Netflix. Go watch it.
Okay.
You'll love it. I promise.
Sold.
Yeah. All right, folks. So I think so. We'll see everybody in a week. I think. Is that right? Next week. Well, until next time, as we like to say,
I'm Damon.
I'm Dean. And remember, everything
is disputed.
Thanks again for joining us. And we'd also like to thank our guests. We would also like to thank those who make the music that make our show so great. We have Hard Fight by Tajirigis, Fight Club by Evil Bear Boris, Fight Makes Right by Atake, and This Party Sucks by Done With Fish. You can find them all on freemusicarchive.org. Also, you can find us and all of our information on disputedpod.com/links.